Thank you very much for joining us today, despite your busy schedule. Thank you also to those of you who are watching online despite your busy schedule. We would now like to start the 17th Japan Atomic Energy Agency JAEA Annual Symposium. My name is Natsuko Kikuchi from the Japan Atomic Energy Agency, and I will be your moderator today. Nice to meet you all. Today's program will last until 4 p.m. with a 30-minute break in between. I would like to ask for your cooperation until the end of the program. First of all, I would like to start with greetings from Mr. Masanori Koguchi, President of Japan Atomic Energy Agency, JAEA. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today for the JAEA Annual Symposium. My name is Koguchi, and I was appointed President of Japan Atomic Energy Agency, JAEA, in April this year. Nice to meet you all. I would like to once again thank the people of the local communities where we are based, as well as those who continue to understand and support JAEA's operations. The mission of JAEA is to implement and realize the national policy on nuclear energy. We are also engaged in research and development in a variety of fields. As you are all aware, there has been a slight change in the trend in Japan and the world regarding the use of nuclear energy. In Japan, Prime Minister Kishida's major policy of the so-called green transformation, which advocates the creation of a decarbonized society, calls for the use of nuclear energy. Based on this policy, in order to steadily advance it, we do not see nuclear power only as an energy source, but also as a means to cooperate with renewable energy, that is, to offset each other's weaknesses and enhance each other's strength, and in a sense, to build a sustainable society, which is our ultimate goal, rather than choosing either nuclear or renewable. JAEA has entered the fourth mid to long-term planning period this fiscal year. In this plan, we have established major policies that we are going to pursue. In the field of research and development, which is highlighted in orange on the left, we are working on the development of new innovative reactors, HTGRs, high-temperature gas reactors, and fast reactors, which will further enhance safety and compatibility with renewable energy, as well as the use of nuclear energy in various social fields, especially in the medical and materials fields. We are also working on human resource development to enhance the nuclear research system to support this. The middle one, colored in green, shows the decommissioning, the back-end area. We will, at all costs, respond to the accident at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, establish high-level waste treatment technology, and ensure the decommissioning of facilities that have been decided to do so. Finally, on the right side, in yellow, We are also making maximum use of our accumulated technologies and knowledge to support nuclear safety regulations and disaster prevention. In this way, we believe that the technologies we have accumulated to date, including the development of innovative reactors, the production of medical RIs using neutrons, the transformation of various social infrastructures, and the reduction of toxicity and recycling of radioactive waste, will be utilized to build a new society advanced by the green transformation. On the other hand, science and technology can make rapid progress when the opportunity presents itself. In the future, we can expect great technological progress in nuclear technology as well. In this sense, it is difficult for Japan alone or JAEA alone to make great progress. And I believe that international cooperation is more important than ever before. In particular, international cooperation with the United Kingdom, the United States, and France, which share the same social values, is indispensable. However, international cooperation must cover a wide range of fields from the front end to the back end. Under such circumstances, I believe it is a prerequisite for us to polish our cutting-edge technologies to lead the world. From this perspective, I believe that JAEA needs to take a new and slightly different approach, and that it is my duty as president to provide managerial leadership to achieve the best results possible within the limited resources available. In addition, considering that the foundations of the nuclear industry are deteriorating, we do not have much time left. In other words, we have to achieve the greatest possible results with limited resources and limited time. This is a very tough challenge, but we will not be daunted by it and will do our utmost for the development of our country. On the other hand, I believe that we must strongly recognize once again that nuclear energy is only possible if it is accepted by society. Without the support of society, nuclear power cannot move forward or backward. We would like to move society forward through nuclear energy research and development by communicating closely with society and earning its trust, with safety and security as our primary focus. Today, our country is facing many difficulties. We believe that many of them can only be solved by technology. To this end, all of us at JAEA are united in our efforts to steadily fulfill our assigned roles. I hope that the limited time we have today will give you a sense of how JAEA is trying to contribute to society through its research and development. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention. We have many distinguished guests here today. I would like to introduce all of them, but on behalf of them, I would like to introduce members of the Diet who are present here today. Mr. Akimasa Ishikawa, member of the House of Representatives. Mr. Kiyoshi Ejima, member of the House of Councillors. Mr. Motokazu Ito, Secretary of Ms. Asako Omi, member of the House of Representatives. Thank you very much, distinguished guests, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. We have also received a congratulatory telegram, so I will only introduce your names. Ms. Asako Omi, member of the House of Representatives. Mr. Yamato Aoyama, member of the House of Representatives. Thank you very much. Next, we would like to introduce Dr. Catherine Huff, Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy, U.S. Department of Energy, who sent us a video letter on the occasion of this symposium. Her research focused on modeling and simulation of advanced nuclear reactors and fuel cycles. She received her PhD in nuclear engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2013. She is a recipient of both the Young Member Excellence and Mary Jane Estoman Professional Women's Achievement Awards from the American Nuclear Society. In her former job, she was an assistant professor in the Department of Nuclear, Plasma, and Radiological Engineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and had served as the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy at the U.S. Department of Energy since 2021, and as the current Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy since May 2022. We will now show you a video letter from Dr. Catherine Huff.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm Katie Huff, Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy in the U.S. Department of Energy. I want to thank JAEA President Akira Koguchi for inviting me to deliver remarks for this important symposium today. Let me start by saying that the ties between the United States and Japan are strong. In the field of nuclear energy, our partnership spans decades, and our nuclear cooperation continues to be productive. With like-minded views on issues such as safety and security, and as two leaders in nuclear technology capabilities worldwide, cooperation has grown among our governments and our research organizations, as well as amongst our private sectors. Today, I'll discuss challenges for the future through development of innovative reactors. No doubt there are challenges, but from my vantage point, what I see at this moment is a historic opportunity. Unfortunately, this opportunity is brought to us by the unprecedented global twin crises of energy security and climate change. On energy security, Russia's unprovoked and unjustified aggression in Ukraine has raised energy security as a major global concern. Many more countries are now looking at nuclear power as a means to provide reliable and carbon-free power for their needs. Many countries that had planned to retire reactors are also looking to keep them running. Our other crisis, of course, is rapidly changing climate. On this crisis, we have no time to waste. At this very moment, our leaders have been negotiating at the United Nations 27th Conference of the Parties, known as COP27. This meeting is in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, happening right now. Combating the climate crisis requires action from all people and places, and all steps move us closer to meeting our climate goals. We hope for a successful COP with tangible actions to drive solutions. Of course, nuclear energy is the world's largest single source of carbon-free electricity, and it provides nearly a third of the world's clean electricity. It's the only way to reach our ambitious U.S. goals of 100% clean energy on our transmission grid by 2035 and net zero carbon emissions by 2050. So it's an obvious part of our solution. Keeping our current fleets up and running in both the United States and Japan must be an important part of this goal. And this can be done with safety and security strongly in mind. I'm proud to say that in the United States, we're taking significant actions to advance nuclear energy through substantial investments and programs. I'd like to provide some highlights of our Advanced Reactor Development Program, also known as ARDP, and the Inflation Reduction Act, known as IRA, as well as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, known as the bill. Most recently, President Biden signed IRA on August 16th. It represents the most significant climate legislation to date and the single largest investment in clean climate and energy solutions in U.S. history. It appropriates $369 billion in climate and clean energy investments. And under the combination of these measures, it's been an especially exciting year for nuclear energy in the U.S. These new measures provide $6 billion for civil nuclear power to prevent premature retirement of existing nuclear plants, and $21 billion for clean energy demonstrations and research hubs, including clean hydrogen from nuclear power. We have clear support for advanced reactor demonstration projects, which are targeting deployments later this decade. There's also $700 million to support the development of a domestic supply chain for high-assay, low-enriched uranium, also known as HALEU. IRA also establishes a production tax credit for existing nuclear reactors of up to $15 per megawatt hour. It further supports new advanced reactors through either a production tax credit of $25 per megawatt hour for the first 10 years of plant operation, or a 30% investment tax credit on new zero carbon power plants placed into operation in 2025 or after. Finally, it establishes a major clean hydrogen production tax credit, which nuclear energy will qualify for. This is a period of promise, with many different reactor designs under development. These technologies are innovative, and today, more than 20 U.S. companies are developing advanced reactors, with the potential for greater flexibility in power and operations, ultimately making them more affordable to build and to operate. And these newer technologies are being offered in a variety of sizes. These reactor concepts can expand the benefits of nuclear power to new markets, including applications well beyond electricity generation. This includes desalination for heat, for hydrogen production, and more. Research and development is still needed in these key areas to ensure we effectively and efficiently connect advanced nuclear power to these new applications. But these advances hold enormous potential to rapidly meet our climate needs within this decade and to meet local needs. These reactors are designed to meet the needs of the communities that use them. Many can adjust their electricity output to match demand and can pair well with renewables to provide round-the-clock emissions-free electricity. We're particularly excited that one project, TerraPower, will build their natrium demonstration reactor in Wyoming at a retiring coal plant site. This will help us decarbonize our electric sector while preserving the high-paying energy jobs in that community. This is a core promise of President Biden's to deliver place-based solutions and ensure an equitable energy transition that doesn't leave energy communities or environmental justice communities behind. As more coal plants retire, we are eager to pursue more of these kinds of projects so that we can ensure that we're bringing every community along with us in this clean energy transition. We're also thrilled to support the demonstration of the X-Energy XE100, a small modular high-temperature pebble bed gas reactor planned for demonstration in Washington State. With all of this promise, what we need now is for the next nuclear power plants to be built on time and on budget. Getting this done is our highest priority, working alongside private industry and cooperating with global expertise, including that of Japan. My office appreciates that the United States has benefited from long-standing nuclear collaboration with Japan, and I appreciate how DOE particularly has benefited from extensive collaboration with JAEA in advanced reactor R&D. Looking forward, I want to speak to our expectations for continued collaboration with Japan and JAEA on innovative reactor development. JAEA and the Central Research Institute of Electric Power Industry have extensive research, development, and test facilities, as well as expertise that can play a role in development of these advanced technologies. We're quite encouraged by Japan's interest in U.S. small modular reactor and advanced reactor technologies, by investment from Japan in the NuScale SMR, and by the opportunity that brings for us to work closely in third country markets around the world. We're also pleased with Japan's engagement with TerraPower on the Natrium fast reactor design. Laboratory-to-laboratory collaboration on advanced reactor technologies and other nuclear energy technologies continue under the U.S.-Japan Civil Nuclear Energy Working Group. The need for reliable, carbon-free, and secure energy supply has been brought into clear focus with Russia's horrific attack on Ukraine, as well as Russia's attempts to use energy as an economic weapon. We share Japan's sense of urgency for a global partnership on nuclear power. Together, DOE and JAEA can help to bring these advanced technologies to fruition and help to meet climate as well as energy security goals for the U.S., Japan, and our global partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind attention. Next, Dr. Akira Yamaguchi, Director of the Nuclear Safety Research Association of Japan, will give a lecture titled For the Development and Wide Use of the Next Generation Innovative Reactors. Dr. Yamaguchi completed his graduate studies at the University of Tokyo, worked at the Power Reactor and Nuclear Fuel Development Corporation, was a professor at the Division of Sustainable Energy and the Environmental Engineering, Osaka University, and professor at the Nuclear Professional School, the University of Tokyo, and currently serves as the director of the Nuclear Safety Research Association. He also served as president of the Atomic Energy Society of Japan from 2021 to 2022. In addition, he is a member of the Strategy Policy Committee and chairman of the Nuclear Energy Subcommittee of the Electricity and Gas Industry Committee of the Advisory Committee for Natural Resources and Energy under the Agency for Natural Resources and Energy, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Now, Dr. Yamaguchi, the floor is yours. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Yamaguchi, and I'm from the Nuclear Safety Research Association. First of all, I would like to congratulate JAEA on a very successful annual symposium. My talk is for the development and wide use of the next-generation innovative reactors, how Japan is going to tackle this issue, and what we would expect from JAEA in this context. First of all, I would like to talk about the Energy Basic Plan in order to discuss energy and nuclear power issues. In the sixth Energy Basic Plan, the key points of energy policy are a stable energy supply based on the premise of safety, economic efficiency, and environmental compatibility, or S plus 3E. The Basic Law on Atomic Energy was first promulgated back in 1955. The Act states that energy resources should be secured, academic progress should be made, and industry should be promoted, thereby contributing to the welfare of human society and the improvement of the standard of living of the people. This is how the objectives of atomic energy is described in the law. In 1956, when the long-term plan for the development and use of atomic energy was first formulated, it stated that the power reactor to be developed in Japan should be a breeder power reactor from the perspective of effective utilization of nuclear fuel resources and the expectation of low energy costs. Since then, the establishment of the fuel cycle and breeder power reactors have been the main goals for the use of atomic energy. However, the Basic Law on Energy Policy, which came into effect in 2002, includes the words environmental conservation and sustainable development as key words. It states the purpose is to promote measures for energy supply and demand in a long-term, comprehensive and systematic manner, thereby contributing to the conservation of the regional and global environment and to the sustainable development of the Japanese and global economies and societies. The 2 points are clearly stated: energy and economic security perspectives and the viewpoint of the impact on the local and global environment. Based on this background, the Cabinet approved the framework for nuclear energy policy in 2005 before the earthquake. At that time, in addition to energy security, global warming countermeasures were beginning to attract attention, and the expectation was expressed that nuclear power would continue to make a significant contribution to stable energy supply and to the fight against global warming. And we aim for nuclear power to continue to provide 30 to 40% of total electricity generation in 2030 and beyond. The most recent Energy Basic Plan, which was approved by the Cabinet last October, is the 6th version. The plan states that maximum efforts will be made to position renewable energy as the main source of power. And in addition, nuclear power will be responsible for 20 to 22% of the total power supply as an established, stable, and decarbonized source. In addition to this energy mix, the basic plan also emphasizes the importance of energy saving on the demand side, with the expectations for energy conservation as high as 21%. In light of these points, in order to achieve such a figure in 2030, we will need to shift to a decarbonized power source while promoting energy conservation as the use of electricity goes up. We believe that the role of nuclear power and the mission of nuclear energy will be extremely important in this process. I have been discussing the characteristics of nuclear power from the perspective of securing energy. But in the Energy Basic Plan, various perspectives have been added in recent years. As you can see on this slide, the impact of natural disasters on the stable supply of energy and the vulnerability of the energy supply system were highlighted, including the blackout caused by the Iburi Eastern earthquake in Hokkaido and the continuous power outages caused by typhoons. In addition, there are geopolitical risks. It was again pointed out that as the United States has become a net exporter of energy, the Strait of Hormuz risk in the Middle East, on which Japan depends, has become more apparent. Naturally, after the Paris Agreement, a big wave of decarbonization has begun. From this perspective, the Energy Basic Plan includes geopolitical risks, geoeconomic risks, risks related to power grid, such as cyber attacks, inherent risks of each energy source, and finally, the risk of falling behind in energy competition, which is a risk that Japan faces as a country that is supported by technological development and technological capabilities. Japan must continue to invest in these risks and work on the development of innovative reactors, which is the theme of today's session. Considering the need to prepare for various risks, energy policy cannot be based solely on resource self-sufficiency and economic efficiency in terms of the unit cost of power generation, as has been the case in the past. This is the current status of affairs. The Energy Basic Plan also describes this in an abstract way as an overall picture. It states that the plan aims for carbon neutrality by 2050, a 46% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030, and the challenge to go higher by 50% in 2030, which is an ambitious goal. And the key theme is to show the path for energy policy toward achieving this goal. In addition to this, we must overcome the challenges facing Japan's energy supply and demand structure, which is becoming apparent recently. This is also an important theme. In other words, on the basic premise of ensuring safety, it is recognized that efforts will be made to ensure stable supply and reduce energy costs, even as climate change measures are promoted. Well, it was 1 year ago that this Energy Basic Plan was formulated, and a lot has happened in the year since then. The invasion of Ukraine by Russia. This caused a disturbance in the oil and gas market. So the international community is in a state of energy shortage or energy cost escalation. In addition, these situations are not transient, but rather a period of energy crisis directly related to security, which can occur structurally and cyclically. And Japan has been asked to save electricity almost every year for the past several years. It has been happening every year that the reserve ratio of electricity is below 3%, a very small number. The recognition that the world is experiencing a fault line fluctuations in energy was expressed at the Green Transformation GX conference held in August of this year. We must utilize nuclear energy to respond to these issues. It is said that Japan is currently experiencing an energy crisis and energy policy delays. In order to solve these problems, we need to mobilize all energy policies and make the best use of energy sources, and we need to take nuclear power seriously. On this slide, I would like to review the energy policy transition to date. First, the 1960s was a time when we needed cheap and a large amount of energy for economic growth. At that time, we used domestic coal as our main energy source, which meant that we had an energy self-sufficiency rate of about 60%. However, Although Japan succeeded in efficiently introducing large amount of energy by replacing it with imported oil, its energy self-sufficiency rate declined to 10% over the past 10 years. In 1973, the first oil crisis occurred, causing Japan to experience energy shortages and negative economic growth, and energy independence was recognized as a very important theme for Japan. In other words, energy security was added in 1970s to the pursuit of economic efficiency in the 1960s. On the other hand, energy costs became very high in the 1970s because of our dependence on imported oil. During that decade, the price of electricity doubled. Then, in the 1990s and 80s, environmental issues gradually came into focus. At the same time, as you know, in the nuclear field, the 3 Mile Island accident in the US and the Chernobyl Unit 4 accident occurred. Especially in Europe and the US, the use of nuclear energy began to show signs of slowing down. At the same time, climate change and global warming have come to the fore as major issues. And I believe that a third E has been added here, that is, environmental compatibility. Naturally, there were great expectations for nuclear energy as well as renewable energy as a form of energy that would provide both energy security and environmental compatibility. It was a time of nuclear renaissance, with new nuclear power plants being built at various parts of the country, and new generation nuclear power plants and reactors being designed and proposed. Then, in 2011, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident and the Great East Japan earthquake caused long-term power outages and shortages, something that will never be forgotten. At this time, the value of safe and reliable energy was reaffirmed, and we stated that safety is an issue that we must address with the utmost priority. Subsequently, it was discussed in the Energy Basic Plan and the Strategic Policy Committee that Japan must make a concerted effort to realize the ambiguous goal of becoming carbon neutral, while using renewable energy as the main source of power. However, as I mentioned earlier, there has been a shared recognition over the past year that there is now an energy crisis and a delay in energy policy as of 2020. Now, the Energy Basic Plan is based on achieving carbon neutrality and securing energy in 2050, and then backcasting to see what it will look like in 2030. Looking at the history of the past, initially the main theme was how to secure abundant, low-cost and stable energy. Then the problem of climate change emerged, and the value of security and reliability was re-evaluated. Recognizing that we are experiencing a policy failure, that is, an energy crisis and energy policy delay, we are definitely at a point in time where we must develop a firm vision for the year 2050 or even beyond 2050. Here is a look at how energy and its leading role has shifted. This is the logistic model of energy share. The logistic model is a model that is widely used to describe the prosperity of living species and to explain the phenomenon of one species thriving and then replaced by another species. The essence of this model is that the share of one energy source is set as F. The idea is simple. The rate of change is proportional to the share of other energy sources. On the right, the current share of energy worldwide is described. We still rely heavily on fossil fuels. You can see that nuclear power and renewable energy accounts for 4.3% and about 10% respectively. In fact, this model was proposed by a scholar named Marchetti, who wrote a paper in 1977 in which he showed a graph like this. This is a wood, firewood. Nowadays, we would call it biomass. And then there is coal, oil, gas, nuclear, and finally, new energy. On the right axis, the share of each energy is written. Looking back, coal accounted for 70%, which was the largest segment at that time. Petroleum is at 49% at the most. The thin lines in the graph are the actual data. According to Marchetti's paper, the logistic model explains the share of energy very well. In other words, it explains that when a new energy source appears, it replaces the energy that has been the mainstay of the market and becomes the mainstream. This is a 1977 paper by Marchetti, and the reason why we had this kind of model is because our goal was to have abundant, low-cost, and stable energy. In other words, the main energy source has shifted from wood to coal, then to oil, and so on. If we overlay his paper with the data up to 2020, we get this graph. As you can see, this is not what the Marchetti model predicted. This analysis is probably due to the 1973 oil crisis, which led to the continued use of coal as a means of securing energy, resulting in a situation where we use oil, coal, and natural gas. Hydro, renewables, and nuclear follow at 10% or 5% shown toward the bottom. In other words, what this figure shows is that we have moved from an era of abundant, stable, and low-cost energy to an era of pursuing diversification of energy sources. Naturally, from the perspective of carbon neutrality and decarbonization, there is great resistance to the continued use of fossil resources and fossil energy for a long time to come, while decarbonized power sources such as renewable energy and nuclear power have yet to become a major player in terms of global market share.
Now, let's take a look at prospects for the future of energy. Historically, the emergence of new energy technologies replaced the old energy before 1970. Meaning, Marchetti thought that firewood, coal, oil, gas, and nuclear were to play a leading role in energy, as they all met criteria of being plentiful, low-cost, and stable. Though, as indicated in the previous slide, the oil crisis served as an opportunity to diversify power sources, in other words, risk diversification. And in some countries, international interconnection lines and abundant hydropower contributed to plentiful, low-cost, and stable stockpiling functions. Now, in Japan, we do not have buffer functions, such as international interconnection lines, nor abundant hydropower, and the environment related to value of energy, being plentiful, affordable, and stable, has changed significantly in the wake of electricity deregulation and climate change response. On top of excessive expectations on renewable energy, we are starting to see excessive expectation against renewables and lack of business predictability to plentiful, low-cost, and stable power sources, which led to delay of energy policy. I've mentioned that key to the future energy policy is S+3E. Based on the history, safety can be interpreted as being something that must be secured throughout life of plant in terms of preparedness in operations such as operational safety and preparedness against accident such as assessment and management of accidental risks. Security used to be discussed in the context of self-sufficiency in resources and energy security, but on top of such matters, now issues related to self-sufficiency in technology and management of risks associated with energy security are starting to appear. Additionally, one another point is environmental adaptability. Here, we must recognize that long-term usage of resources has also become relevant in terms of sustainability. As for economic efficiency, life cycle cost, system cost including cost to connect to the grid, and financial risks would have to be considered as well. Here I wrote 3S plus E, and I recognize that scope of its concept has started to become wider. Under such context, this timeline for utilization of nuclear power was created at the GX Implementation Conference. Please refer to the area shaded in blue. It shows that restart of existing nuclear power plant, operation of power plants in which installation permit was granted, and promotion of installation permit review will be conducted for some time to come to overcome current energy crisis and to achieve 2030 target. That is referred to as so-called acceleration of resumption of operations, but we must look farther ahead at realization of both 2050 carbon neutrality and stable supply, as indicated at the bottom. We should also envision what is expected in 2050 onwards. And here, Prime Minister Kishida instructed the development and construction of next-generation innovative reactors and extension of operation periods for maximization of nuclear utilization and to ensure predictability. He also instructed enhancement of national initiatives at the back end. Here are scenarios for nuclear power generation. Why is it that development of nuclear power under these scenarios is required? This slide is based on data from the Agency for Natural Resources and Energy, which shows how installed generating capacity changes when nuclear power plants were operated for 40 years and 60 years. Blue area represents 40-year operation scenario, whereas green area represents 60-year operation scenario. And the blue belt of nuclear with range of 20 to 22% represents the 2030 target. The range exists due to uncertainty of progress to be made with energy savings, and the range represents what is roughly expected based on installed capacity. On the other hand, the straight line roughly represents change expected of installed operating capacity for existing nuclear power plants. As you see there, the left line that represents 40-year operation scenario goes below 20 to 22% range starting from 2030. In case of 60-year operation scenario, the line goes below that 20 to 22% range from around 2050. Gradient of the line is equivalent to loss of 1 gigawatt per year, which is equivalent to 1 unit of nuclear power plant. They are the rationales of necessity for a steady restart of operation towards 2030, maximum utilization of nuclear power towards 2040, and development and construction of next-generation innovative reactors towards 2050. There are different perspectives to discuss the next-generation innovative reactors. This slide represents what was presented as technology roadmap for the development of innovative reactors at Subcommittee on Nuclear Energy. As you see here, there are 4 types of next-generation innovative fission reactors being presented. Feature of innovative light water reactor is that it has predictable regulatory requirements, foreseeable time of realization, and innovative safety improvements. Priority is given to the development of these innovative light water reactors. Next is small light water reactor, which the world has the high expectations for. From standpoint of contributing to international cooperation and supporting the supply chain in acquiring business opportunities, Japan is planning on continuing its development to secure options with future needs in mind. Fast reactor is understood to be a nuclear technology including existing light water reactors that can be used to acquire sustainability and resource recyclability. While promoting international collaboration, we aim to realize its development accordingly. The last one is high-temperature gas-cooled reactor. This will be developed with a view to co-generate carbon-free electricity, heat, and hydrogen, while utilizing the test reactor HTTR. Now, allow me to summarize small modular reactors. This is an OECD report. Small modular reactor, according to definition on the OECD report, includes light water monoplane, light water multi-machine, portable, which may include microreactor and portable reactor, 4th generation, and micro-module reactor. Out of them, we should pay attention to the 4th generation reactor. This utilizes innovative non-light water reactor technology and is discussed at the International Generation 4 Reactor Forum. It enables effective use of resources, high-level waste volume reduction, and toxicity reduction, meaning sustainability is an important requirement of this reactor. I think that the 4th generation reactor's technological importance for Japan from 2050 onwards comes from sustainability requirement. I have been talking about generation of nuclear power plant. This slide shows types of reactors in the world that belong to Generation 1 to Generation 4. What you see in the right top side of the slide is the fourth generation. That is the fourth generation reactor with revolutionary designs. Now, please take a look at the diagram down below where you can see age of reactors in horizontal axis and net electrical capacity in vertical axis. Size of each circle represents size of electrical capacity. As you can tell from this diagram, the fourth generation reactors are not yet ready for commercialization in the world. Generation 1 reactors were built in 1950s to 60s, and most of them have already retired. That means main nuclear power plants that currently exist belong to Generation 2 and Generation 3. As for the fourth generation nuclear energy system, there are 8 objectives in 4 areas being set by GIF, Generation 4 International Forum. The 4 areas are 1. Sustainability, 2. Economy, 3. Safety and reliability, and 4. Proliferation, resistance, and physical protection. I mentioned that the sustainability is a feature of fourth generation reactor. As part of sustainability, it is pointed out that fourth generation nuclear energy systems are required to provide global sustainable energy production, which is clean, long-lasting systems that make good use of fuels. At the same time, the fourth generation nuclear reactors shall minimize and manage radioactive waste, particularly to reduce the long-term management burden, thereby improving public health and environmental protection. Based on such requirements, we must consider energy systems required in Japan for the future. Another important area is proliferation resistance and physical protection. Aspects of security and proliferation resistance that are gathering a lot of attention in the nuclear field are strengthened under the fourth generation nuclear energy systems. As for economy and safety and reliability, they were always necessary in nuclear energy system, no matter which generation the system may belong to. Now, I would like to share with you this slide that refers to an aspect of effective resource utilization. The graph shows a forecast of uranium supply and demand. The source is Red Book, a report on uranium. The solid line represents uranium demand. On the other hand, shaded areas represent uranium supply. Currently, uranium supply and demand are balanced, though, as you see in the right, if usage by nuclear power plants maintains its pace, then demand for the uranium is around 62,000 tons in 2021, but under a high-case scenario, it will be 70,000 to 99,000 tons in 2030 and 80,000 to 156,000 tons by 2040. As indicated in the table, in case of uranium price at $130 per kilo, which is realistic price considering mining, years of use of uranium are expected to be 98 years. With that in mind, it is expected that ways to secure uranium resource and share uranium against the backdrop of decarbonization trend in the world will be major challenges. I have been talking about a variety of features that nuclear power has and characteristics required. This is a diagram that I created to illustrate my interpretation of innovation according to Christiansen. According to him, there are two different innovations: sustained innovation and low-end disruptive innovation. The history of nuclear power development has seen rise of first-generation reactor, second-generation reactor, and third-generation reactor, and perhaps sustained innovation led light water reactor to evolve into improved light water reactor and generation 3 plus reactor. And the value that these reactors had was economy. Development of the nuclear power took place to provide stable power and enhance economy. On the other hand, there is another performance index, which is new market-based disruptive innovation. Renewable energy, at its initial developmental stage, was considered to be insufficient compared to level of users' performance requirement. Though high safety and environmental compatibility are the values that the renewable energy has, and now it has made its way to be a main power supply. So, there is light water reactor that sought after economy, which led to evolve its way to generation 3 plus. On the other hand, there is renewable energy that has placed an weight on safety and environment, which can now satisfy user requirements. In the future, what will be the main energy? To answer that question, we must create new performance indices, or in other words, new values. And I understand that small modular reactor and fourth-generation reactor are examples of that. We discussed energy policy of 3 plus 3E under the context of diversification of values, which was in a way similar to diversification of power supply. In the future, we will aim to improve welfare by utilizing neutron and radiation. As was mentioned today, as part of high-temperature gas-cooled reactor, we will utilize heat and deploy it to a variety of industries. Furthermore, from standpoint of resource and waste, we will develop sustainable energy system, and it is nuclear power that can propose these multiple values. I believe that's one important role to be played by this field. In other words, we must not only aim for economy, but also safety. Different technologies, stable supply, and diverse ways of utilization. All these are our expectations for nuclear power field. Let me quote from a book written by Jared Diamond. He wrote that invention is the mother of necessity, even though people often say that necessity is the mother of invention. Instead, people argue that an extraordinary genius uncovers a social need and makes a great invention to fulfill it. But he indicated that that is not right. In the reality, invention is the mother of necessity. He pointed out that many researchers improve inventions made by predecessors, and a great invention is born when there is an application to which the invention matches, and when the application of the invention is found. If you look into actual history of technological development, you will not find a case where a great invention is made all of a sudden. I suppose that many researchers are continuously making improvements by sharing their ideas, and when something that fits the society appears, then that technology will spread all at once. Of course, economic efficiency is quite important for the dissemination to take place. It has to be inexpensive, and it would not be accepted by the society without social status. Furthermore, compatibility with existing systems, in other words, continuity, is also necessary. Lastly, Diamond pointed out that the benefits must be straightforward as well. Being mindful about these points, we are required to continuously work on development of innovative reactors to make sure it can acquire social status and present straightforward benefits to the society. Continued innovation calls for social needs. May I quote Charles Robert Darwin, the academic famous for his evolutional theory. He said, quote unquote, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." Today's theme is innovative reactor. We are trying to create the future with its development. I understand that President Koguchi mentioned in his opening speech that the time is changing, and JAEA should also change to make maximum achievements out of minimum resources available. May I close my remark by wishing that the Japan Atomic Energy Agency, which holds Japan's most specialized and capable facilities and human resources, would lead establishment and dissemination of innovative reactors. Thank you very much for your attention. Dr. Yamaguchi, thank you very much. We will take 30-minute break from now. We will resume the session from 15:07. At the back space, we set up a booth of a local municipality, which JAEA's research facility is located at. Local specialties are sold there. You can also find local tourism information there as well, together with beverages. At the Conference Center Room B, we set up panels that show research and development achievements made by the JAEA. Virtual site visit service is provided there as well.
Now it is time to resume. Executive Director Hiroyuki Oshima of Japan Atomic Energy Agency JAEA will give a report titled JAEA's Mission for Deploying Next-Generation Innovative Reactors in Japan. After the presentation, questions will be accepted. If you are watching online and have questions, please send them to the email address for questions we have informed you in advance. My name is Oshima. I oversee sector of fast reactor and advanced reactor research and development. Today, I would like to report on JAEA's mission for deploying next-generation innovative reactors in Japan. First, I would like to introduce the current status of nuclear energy in Japan and abroad and the requirements for next-generation innovative reactor, followed by significance of next-generation innovative reactor development, development status, and future outlook. First of all, I would like to talk about the domestic and international situation and the requirements for next-generation innovative reactors. This sheet or slide is a brief summary of the energy situation in Japan. There are 3 points. The first point is Japan's energy self-sufficiency rate is 11.2%. As you can see in the table below, this is very low among developed countries. As you all know, energy supports all of our food, clothing, and shelter. The fact that 90% of this energy is imported means that energy prices fluctuate and therefore directly affected by the strong or weak yen. In addition, as seen in the recent invasion of Ukraine, resources themselves may become difficult to obtain. In such cases, there is concern that maintaining industry and livelihood itself may become difficult. The second point is that the composition of electric power sources is currently centered on thermal power. When thermal power is the main source of power, CO2 emissions are extremely high. The CO2 emission coefficient is about 8 times that of France, which is a very large figure. The third point is that European countries have interconnected grids and can supply electricity to each other. But in the case of Japan, we are an island nation and have to manage on our own. Renewable energies are now being discussed in various ways. For reference, here is a report from a British research institute describing the area required for renewable energy. The amount of land needed to produce hydrogen equivalent to the amount of oil used annually in 2019. The area circled in red is the area that will be covered by wind power, and the area in yellow is the area that will be covered by solar power. As you can see, it will be quite difficult to cover with renewable energy alone. Also, we have to consider the fact that equipment that requires such a large area will become waste after 20 to 30 years of use. Renewable energy and nuclear energy each have their weaknesses and strengths. I believe that we should aim for the best mix that combines the advantages and complements the disadvantages of each type of energy, as there is no such thing as perfect energy. This sheet summarizes our country's policy on nuclear energy. As Dr. Yamaguchi explained earlier, the Green Growth Strategy was compiled last year. The details are outlined by Dr. Yamaguchi, so if you look at the blue area in the middle, the growth strategy proposes until 2050 for innovative reactors, including FRs, HTGRs, and SMRs, is presented. In particular, it states the fast reactors should be developed based on the strategic roadmap decided at the Ministerial Conference on Nuclear Energy in 2018. In addition, although not energy, there is the experimental fast reactor JOYO, which has been found to be capable of producing large quantities of radioisotopes for medical use, rarely found in the world. For this reason, it is stated that JOYO is expected to contribute to advanced cancer treatment through restart of operation. In addition, the sixth strategic energy plan, which came out after that, basically follows the green growth strategy. Recently, there have been active discussions on innovative reactors in Japan. For example, the Nuclear Energy Subcommittee, chaired by Dr. Yamaguchi, established a working group on innovative reactors, and in the end of July to August this year, an interim report on the technology roadmap for the development of innovative reactors was compiled. Fast reactors are being discussed in the Strategic Working Group of Fast Reactor Development meeting to revise the strategic roadmap to make it more concrete. The key points discussed here are whether sodium cooling is a promising concept from the viewpoint of maturity, the conceptual design of a demonstration reactor, what the roadmap for R&D should be, and what roles should be played by the government, research institutes, private sector, and other players. The next is also in the process of discussing the basic technology in the study group on R&D infrastructure for next-generation innovative reactors. The Japan Atomic Energy Commission of the Cabinet Office is also discussing a review of the basic policy for use of nuclear energy, which was formulated in 2017. Looking at the world, it is not only innovative reactors. This slide summarizes international trends. In France, written at the top, President Macron has declared a return to nuclear power generation and has announced that construction of 6 light water reactors by 2028 and 8 additional reactors are under consideration. In addition, France is researching innovative reactors to close the fuel cycle and produce less waste. As for the United Kingdom, it has decided to increase the share of nuclear power generation to 25% by 2050. And as for innovative reactors, a demonstration reactor project for HTGR was started this year, aiming for operation in the early 2030s. We, JAEA, are also participating in this project. In addition, Poland's energy policy through 2040 states that it will have 6 nuclear power plants in operation by 2043. It has also expressed the possibility of using high-temperature, gas-cooled reactors, mainly as an industrial heat source. In the U.S., as mentioned in the video letter, the U.S. Department of Energy has been promoting the Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program, ARDP, which will build 2 demonstration reactors, one of which will be a sodium-cooled FR to be built by Bill Gates' TerraPower Inc. The demonstration reactor will be built by 2028 or around 2030. The other is X Energy, which will build a HTGR. The government will invest about half of the funds in this project. In addition, the state of California, which is said to be the most environmentally demanding state in the world, has passed a bill to extend the nuclear power plant operation, which was scheduled to be closed. Neighboring South Korea also had change of government and has revised the ratio of nuclear to 30% or over by 2030. They are also exporting 4 large 1.4 million kilowatt class LWRs to the United Arab Emirates, 3 of which are under commissioning. Through these exports, they are maintaining their technology to build large reactors. In addition, China has stated that it will double its nuclear power generation capacity by 2030, but it is predicted that it will reach this goal sooner than that, making it the world's leading nuclear power producer. The following sheet summarizes what we should be looking for in the next generation of nuclear reactors. First and foremost, the basic premise is to further improve safety. There are 3 points on top of that. The first is to incorporate stable supply, stability on a large scale, and innovative safety features that will be accepted by everyone. Another important thing is self-sufficiency in technology. Energy resources resources are currently being imported in large quantities. Even if we buy energy resources, it is very dangerous to depend on foreign countries for the technology to produce them. We believe it is very important to be self-sufficient in technology and also to maintain the supply chain. The second point is natural resource recycling. It means recycling valuable energy sources. Recycling is the effective use of finite resources. In the case of nuclear power generation, the weak point is waste. We believe that high-level radioactive waste must be reduced as much as possible by using recycling technology. And the third is flexibility. Renewable energies inevitably have a large variability, which must be absorbed in some way. For this reason, we believe it is possible to achieve a very stable energy supply through load following, hydrogen production or heat storage in combination with nuclear power, which does not produce CO2. In addition, although not energy, nuclear energy can also contribute to the production of radioisotopes for medical use, which I mentioned earlier. We believe that we can contribute to the improvement of welfare of the people in this way. In any case, I believe that all of these 3 points must be promoted based on further improvement of safety. As mentioned in Dr. Yamaguchi's lecture earlier, the working group on innovative reactors has selected 4 types of reactors. The first at the top is the advanced LWR, the second is a light water SMR, and the HTGR and the fast reactor. The details were explained, so I will omit them, but we are currently conducting R&D on HTGRs and FRs in this group. I would like to explain the current status of HTGRs. There are 2 major characteristics. One is high safety. The figure shows the key points. First, the fuel. As you can see in this figure, the nuclear fuel is coated with ceramic. It's about 1 millimeter, which is about the size of a jintan, a tiny breath mint. That is the size of the fuel being used. This fuel is embedded in a structural material called graphite moderator, or it is placed in it. The graphite moderator has high heat capacity and great thermal conductivity, so it can freely dissipate heat outside the reactor. It also has the property of easily cooling fuel. It is also heat resistant up to about 2,500 degrees, making it extremely resistant to high heat. Thirdly, helium is used as a coolant. Helium is a chemically stable gas that does not react with other gases to produce hydrogen or cause corrosion. Because it is a HTGR that combines all these 3, it has a very safe features, so that even if the control rods cannot be inserted in the event of loss of power or coolant, the reactor will spontaneously shut down, cool down, and confine the radioactive materials. This is the first feature. The second feature is the versatility of heat utilization and mobility. I'm sorry this one is a little hard to see. Bottom of the chart shows the temperature range of each type of reactor. The very bottom is the LWR, the currently used reactors, which is about up to 300 degrees. Then fast reactors, which are around 500 to 600 degrees. The temperature range of HTGRs is about 900 degrees or higher. The temperature range can be used to manufacture a variety of materials. The biggest one is hydrogen production. We believe that high temperatures of HTGRs can be effectively utilized for hydrogen production. This could replace CO2 in fuel cell vehicles and steelmaking in the future. In addition, various types of heat are used in chemical plants for industrial applications. We believe that it will be possible to supply such heat in the form of steam. Third, I think that by putting together a hybrid system with renewable energy, we can compensate for the shortcomings of various energy sources and provide CO2-free energy. The pie chart here shows the source of CO2 emissions. We are now focusing on electricity, which accounts for about 37% of this total. The rest is, for example, transportation 18% and steel 12%. We need to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in this area as well. In this sense, we believe that we can contribute by using the high temperature of the HTGR. There is a worldwide movement to pursue the merit of HTGR. As I mentioned earlier, the US DOE is taking the lead in supporting the private sector to develop this technology. The UK is also moving forward this year with plans to build an experimental reactor in the early 2030s. Poland has also started a conceptual design to build an experimental HTGR, and our JAEA is participating in this project. China also has a demonstration reactor already in operation. However, the temperature is over 700 degrees, which is lower than our HTTR of JAEA in Japan, which has a record temperature of 950 degrees. In China, they are generating power. In Japan, we have achieved the highest temperature of 950 degrees and are conducting various tests. China and Japan are the only countries that actually have HTGRs. In this sense, we believe that Japan has an advantage. The HTTR is located at our ORI Research Development Institute. This sheet is an overview of HTTR. It reached criticality in 1998, and various trials have been conducted since then. 950 degrees temperature was achieved in 2010, and 50 days of operation at 950 degrees has been achieved. In parallel, we also conduct safety demonstration tests, which was introduced earlier. We are conducting tests to verify that the system will be stable even when scram cannot be applied or cooling is not possible. On the other hand, after the Fukushima accident, the plant was temporarily shut down to comply with the new regulations together with other facilities. Last year, however, the Nuclear Regulation Authority approved the reactor as safe and it was restarted. This HTGR technology is also very beneficial in terms of technological self-sufficiency. As I mentioned earlier, we built the HTTR on our own means that we have accumulated experience in design, construction, and operation in Japan. In addition, the fuel fabrication was jointly developed with nuclear fuel industries, which is also an in-house project. We also have jointly developed the materials with Mitsubishi Materials Corporation that can withstand temperatures of 950 degrees. We are also able to produce the world's highest quality graphite material in Japan. Thus, the HTGR is very beneficial in the sense that it can be constructed using only domestic technology. JAEA's R&D is currently running in two major areas. The first was a safety demonstration test, which, as I will repeat, was conducted to determine whether the reactor would be safe in the event of an incident or accident during actual reactor operation, or in the event that the pumps used for cooling suddenly stopped, or even if the brake scrum was not applied. We actually tested the system at a low output of 30%. As shown in the figure, the circulator stopped and the reactor power also stopped. The average temperature also dropped steadily, as you can see here. After this, actual testing will be conducted from 100% power in the future. Another R&D project is a heat utilization test for the HTTR. This is about hydrogen production. In the past, a nuclear reactor and a general facility producing hydrogen have not been linked. R&D on how to ensure the safety of the connecting the nuclear reactor and general facilities will be necessary. This project is to be demonstrated by 2030. The hydrogen facility will use the steam methane reforming process, which is already in practical use. The method emits CO2, but we will first confirm whether hydrogen can be produced using the proven technology. After that, we are also developing clean hydrogen production in parallel, and we plan to replace the hydrogen production system with this one as soon as it is ready. JAEA has achieved a world record with an outlet temperature of 950 degrees in the HTTR. It also means that we have demonstrated a high level of safety through safety demonstration tests. We will also demonstrate the actual production of hydrogen through heat utilization tests. We are proud to be recognized as a world frontrunner in HTGR technology from these perspectives. In response, we have received requests from the UK and Poland and are now trying to promote bilateral cooperation. In parallel, multilateral cooperation is also underway, and the OECD is promoting the safety demonstration test I mentioned earlier as an international project. We are also contributing to the GIF Generation 4 International Forum for the development of the VHTR, which is currently under study. I would like to briefly touch on our cooperation with the United Kingdom. The cooperation with the UK is a project to build a demonstration reactor in the 2030s. This project is divided into 3 phases, Phase A, B, and C. Phase A is for a preliminary conceptual study. It's followed by a feasibility study and basic design on Phase B, and then actual construction in Phase C. Phase A started this year, and various teams applied for this phase. And currently, there are 4 teams remaining, and we are part of the team that has tied up with UK National Nuclear Laboratory and cooperating with them. We are working with NNL on a project to make fuel in parallel with the construction of this reactor, participating as a team together with NNL. We are also working with Poland. Rather than power generation, Poland is using coal to generate heat to run chemical plants, and there is a request to replace this with a high-temperature gas-cooled reactor. We have been asked to cooperate in the construction of an experimental reactor in Poland, and we are now in the process of promoting technical cooperation. This sheet is a technology roadmap for the introduction of HTGRs in Japan. An innovative reactor working group was formed under the Nuclear Energy Subcommittee, and this is a technology roadmap as one of the proposals presented in the discussion. The goal is to build and start operation of a demonstration reactor in the mid-2030s and to conduct various research and development activities toward that goal. This is a concrete proposal. I would now like to shift my talk to fast reactor FR cycle. First of all, the characteristics of fast reactors are summarized in this sheet. There are 3 major features of fast reactors here. One is to use fast neutrons. That's why we call it a fast reactor. It uses neutrons that come out after nuclear fission without moderating them. The question is, what can we do with this technology? One is that there is a large amount of uranium inside that does not burn originally, but this can be converted to burnable plutonium. In other words, it is possible to create new fuel than the fuel used by operating the plant. Another point is minor actinoids, which are the source of high-level radioactive waste. In operation, this high-level waste is generated, but if you hit the minor actinoids with fast neutrons, they can be destroyed by nuclear fission. In other words, it can be used as fuel. We use fast neutrons for these 2 major purposes. The second feature is the use of liquid sodium. Liquid sodium may have a high level of scientific reactions, and although there were accidents in the past with a fast breeder reactor, Monju, this liquid sodium was originally chosen so that these fast neutrons would not slow down or be slowed down. Also, liquid sodium has a high boiling point. For example, water boils at 100 degrees at 1 atmospheric pressure, but in a LWR, WR, it is operated at about 300 degrees by applying high pressure. The boiling point of liquid sodium is 900 degrees, so it can be operated without pressurization. Therefore, stable operation is possible even at 500 or 600 degrees. Higher temperature means higher thermal efficiency. So energy can be used more efficiently than in LWRs, and energy can be generated. The third feature is safety due to natural circulation. Liquid sodium is used, as I mentioned. This is a simple core which is cooled by coolant. Even if the pumps were to stop, for example, the warmed air would rise to the top of the reactor just as the warmed air rises when you make fire with wood. Even if there is no pump in the reactor, the sodium warmed up in the core will circulate on its own. The circulating sodium carries heat, and when the heat exchanger is installed, it can exchange heat with an infinite amount of air on its own. So even if an accident similar to the one in Fukushima were to occur, the cooling system would cool itself by cooling the air on its own.
Here I summarize significance and features of FR cycle. First is the efficient utilization of uranium resources, 10 times more than that of LWR, is possible. I may sound as if I am preaching to choir to some of you, but around 0.7% of uranium being imported is currently utilized for light water reactors. The rest of 99% is in combustible uranium. By utilizing fast neutrons, we'll be able to recycle it. Currently, bottles for securing uranium have started, and yet it's said that supply will still last for around 100 years. 100 years with just 1%. So if rest of 90%, if not 99%, can be utilized, I think more than 1,000 years worth of stable supply will be possible. In Japan, we can recycle it domestically. With the purchased uranium, we can create next energy inside the country. That means it enables us to create energy without import. In that sense, it can make a major contribution to effective utilization of resources and sustainability, which Dr. Yamaguchi referred to. Furthermore, it can directly lead to enhancement of energy security, which is currently an issue. Secondly, it enables us to alleviate the environmental load. Of course, this is possible not only with FR cycle, but with nuclear reactors in general. It does not emit CO2 during operation. Here, we drew a picture of nuclear fuel cycle, which we call closed cycle. Here, plutonium being generated will be used up, and minor actinide, a high-level waste, generated will also be burned within the closed cycle. On the other hand, there will be a remaining waste indicated here as FP, though half-life period of FP is at somewhere around 300 years. This means that half-life period of high-level waste, said to be around 100,000 years, can be shortened to at around 300 years at minimum. There are quite a huge uncertainty in 100,000 years, but I think period of 300 years is manageable for humans. Figuratively speaking, European cathedrals are built over 100, 200 to 300 years, and management of high-level waste can possibly fall within the similar time span. Additionally, we currently face plutonium issue, but the plutonium can be handled flexibly. When you have it abundantly, you can burn it, but if not, you can produce it. In that sense, I think that FR cycle is significant in terms of reducing environmental load. Third point is harmonization with renewables. Similar to fast reactor and high-temperature gas-cooled reactor, load-following operation is possible. As it holds high temperature, it can serve as buffer that complements variable renewables by combining with thermal storage technology. In that sense, by harmonizing with variable renewables, I think it would enable us to supply energy stably for a long period of time. The fourth significance is high level of safety, which I've mentioned. It has natural circulation capability, so it enables very stable cooling. In case of innovative reactor, abundant safety-related schemes are introduced, as I will refer to later on. Last is medical radioisotope. It is not energy, but as it is identified to be quite effective in cancer treatment due to fast neutrons, This should also make sufficient contribution to realization of innovation required in the green growth strategy. Here, you can see summary for development status of FRs in the world. Russia is the most advanced in this field. Nuclear reactors go through 4 different steps of experimental reactor, prototype reactor, demonstration reactor, and commercial reactor. In Russia, they already have a demonstration reactor being operated. The demonstration reactor has started its operation in 2015, and I think it already reached 82% utilization in 2020. In September of this year, they have already replaced all the fuels to MOX fuel, which is a mix of plutonium and uranium. In 2030s, Russia is expected to reach the stage of commercialization. With the technology shared by Russia, China is following Russia, proceeding in a similar pace. India used to be behind significantly, but has caught up with Japan recently. On the other hand, in the West, many of the moves stopped due to environmental issues. But as I have mentioned, the United States is accelerating its efforts as a national project and is taking a lead. As for Japan, as I will later mention, we have went through the stages of experimental reactor, prototype reactor, and demonstration reactors. Here is a diagram that summarizes history in Japan. As I mentioned already, first criticality of experimental reactor JAEA was achieved in 1977. We made a variety of achievements with the experimental reactor, which enabled us to move on to Monju. Unfortunately, it was decided to decommission Monju. Subsequently, we proceeded with research and development for construction of a demonstration reactor. As part of feasibility studies and fast reactor cycle technology development project FACT that is currently being frozen due to the accident in Fukushima. Subsequently, we have been maintaining our technology through international joint R&D efforts with France and UK. And recently, the strategic roadmap was defined, which mentions clearly that we will proceed with the research accordingly. Based on that, 6th strategic energy plan was formulated, as I've already referred to. On the slide, I summarize what has been done with JAEA and Monju. With JAEA, we demonstrated the breeding performance to see whether plutonium was really produced from incombustible uranium. Actually, we demonstrated that plutonium can be generated inside JAEA. Additionally, JAEA was given a role to develop new materials and fuels to be made in the future by irradiating fast neutrons. That role has not changed. As for Monju, which is not being recognized often, enabled us to establish designing and construction know-hows and a variety of safety evaluation methods through the process of building Monju itself. Furthermore, it had been operated with 40% output, which enabled us to gain a relevant know-how. On the other hand, it ended in a short period of time. So unfortunately, we could not gain data on reliability in case of long period of operation and rationalization of maintenance. Subsequently, we have conducted a variety of development through FACT project and French-Japanese cooperation. We especially put our efforts on improvements of safety, and Japanese-French joint design and technology has abundant safety improvements being made. We co-developed the tank-type demonstration reactor. In terms of safety, Japan is taking the lead to develop SDC, Safety Design Criteria, and SDG, Safety Design Guidelines, to be adopted as international standards. We expect that they will soon become international standards. For enhancement of safety, Japan and France are working on different joint researches, creating a variety of things. Let me present a bit about safety with this slide. This shows an approach to safety assurance. To begin with, there are 3 basic principles in nuclear power: to actively shut down, to actively cool, and to confine, which has been strengthened up until now. On the other hand, I think that that innovative reactors come with additional new functions to spontaneously shut down, spontaneously cool, and spontaneously terminate. With such functions, defense in depth, which enables prevention of occurrence of abnormality, prevention of evolution of abnormality, mitigation of accident, and prevention of evolution to severe accident, and mitigation of serious accident, will be realized through the innovation. With the innovative reactors, let me give you an example of these factors being embedded into fast reactor. Due to time constraints, I will not mention details. We've always had control rod. In case of fast reactors, for spontaneous shutdown, there are functions available to automatically drop control rods and to scram based on detected temperature. For spontaneous cooling, natural circulation is embedded abundantly in fast reactor. For confinement, even if reactor core melts down, the fast reactor has core catcher and functions to contain all of those things inside reactor vessel. What about external events which became problems in Fukushima? In order to respond to these events, designing that pays consideration for earthquake, tsunami, fire, and volcanic eruption will be introduced. In the future, we will embed 3D seismic isolation to enhance quake resistance as well. As for the fuel cycle technology development, as I've mentioned, we are planning to conduct demonstration with minor actinide, a source of high-level waste, to see whether it can really be extracted and combusted. We've once separated minor actinide from spent fuels before. Even though it was low in volume, we are ready to conduct an experiment. We achieved recovering the world's highest level of 2 grams of minor actinide. We will put the minor actinide inside fuel to create a new fuel. If we could realize restart, our plan is to put the fuel inside JAEA to burn. That would enable us to close the cycle of operation by recovering minor actinide from spent fuel and adding a little bit of more fuel to burn. We are getting close to demonstrating these things. In terms of enhancement of reliability, we are executing R&D activities to demonstrate sufficient safety by conducting radiation tests for MA-containing MOX fuel. Let's take a look at the use of international cooperation in FR development. We do not conduct all the development alone. We utilize a variety of international cooperation to efficiently develop. We are closely cooperating, especially with France, as France is also aiming to realize a fast reactor cycle, as they do not have abundant resources either. In France, Astrid was launched, and there was a plan to construct a demonstration reactor along with Astrid, but they decided to freeze that. That was based on the judgment that they should build a radiation reactor first and that they can wait a bit longer for demonstration reactor. On the other hand, to proceed with research and development, they signed a new R&D collaboration agreement to continue on with the basic research and part of design. As for Japan and the US, as you saw on the video letter, under the Japan-US cooperation for civil nuclear, cooperations are taking place bilaterally for things such as development of diverse materials and creation of computer simulation tools. Our idea is to utilize bilateral cooperation for manufacturing and R&D activities. On the other hand, things such as codes and standards, safety requirements, and design methods should be standardized internationally. So we are cooperating with IAEA, JAEA, also known as Generation 4 International Forum, and academic societies including ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and Japan Society of Mechanical Engineers to prepare for standardization. Let me present an example of a collaboration with the US. This is an R&D collaboration promoted this year with a private company called TerraPower being operated by famous Bill Gates. They are proceeding with activities to build natrium reactor in Wyoming in 2028, possibly around 2030. We are studying to identify whether there are any areas of possible collaboration out of a variety of candidates for R&D activities. On top of that, we are also conducting conceptual examination. We are currently in the middle of design review based on our experience. We have mentioned a bit about hardware. And for us, it has to be made in an inexpensive way. On top of that, R&D activities itself must be conducted rationally to effectively utilize research resources as much as possible. On the other hand, it is becoming increasingly difficult to hand down technologies. In the past, we could constantly conduct experiments and build nuclear reactors every once in a while. That enabled us to successfully conduct generational shift, but it does not work so well anymore. Against that backdrop, we feel that utilization of computer simulation, which has been going through advancement, can be an answer, so we are working on its research and development. We call it Arcadia. What you see here is the main body of Arcadia. You can see 3 spheres, for example. It would be ideal if a system would give us a design with optimal design and optimal indices based on past knowledge. After we input information such as type of plant we would like to build, and expected cost and targeted safety. Arcadia is based on 3 systems, one of which is called KMS. It is a knowledge system that gathers and accumulates knowledge on things such as monju and fuel production. Enjoy you. Things gained from overseas will be stored here as well. Another system is VLS, which conducts simulation. It can do a variety of complex simulation, so we can connect the simulation with the knowledge. Another system is called EAS, that controls and optimizes the control of aforementioned 2 systems. Our aim is to efficiently conduct optimal design by utilizing Arcadia. And even after we die, our knowledge will still be stored there. We would like to have Arcadia being used in a way that led humans in the future to check and understand the mechanisms as well. This technology roadmap for introduction of FR is presented at the Advanced Reactor Working Group. R&D activities will take place aiming to start operation of the reactor in the middle of 2040s, about 10 years after the gas reactors. I will not touch upon the details of R&D, but it includes demonstration of a variety of technologies with large test facilities, development of fuels and materials through acquisition of fuel materials data, and development of regulations and standards to prepare safety-related concept accordingly. Under the Advanced Reactors Working Group, a discussion was conducted to aggregate all of these efforts to realize construction of the reactor in the middle of 2040s. This is not an energy, but may I introduce you to a contribution to non-energy fields. By using nuclear reactor, including fast reactor, medical radioisotopes for cancer treatment can be produced. Currently, molybdenum technetium is used to test cancer, but almost all the material is being imported from outside of Japan. The short half-life span poses a difficulty of transportation, and events such as invasion of Ukraine can stop air traffic. When air traffic stops, all of a sudden the material will not be available. Therefore, there is a strong call for domestic production of the material, and we believe nuclear power can make a contribution there. One another point is related to cancer treatment. Recently, there has been a lot of attention being paid on actinium. Actinium is a nuclide that undergoes 4 alpha decays. The idea here is to inject actinium inside the patient without conducting surgery, directly transport it to location of cancer and completely heal it with the 4 decays. There is a case where the actinium was applied to treatment of cancer that metastasized throughout the body, though unfortunately mass production of it is not possible. Currently, we can only create actinium enough for 3,000 people annually. In Japan, a clinical test has not been possible even now, though it was found that FR can create the actinium by using fast neutrons. So our idea is to utilize fast reactors not only for energy but also for improvement of national welfare in the medical field. Against that backdrop, 7 medical societies submitted requests to us to proceed with the activity. We also received requests from cancer patient groups as well. Against that backdrop, the Atomic Energy Commission adopted an action plan in May of this year, and we are earnestly conducting research and development activities to quickly supply actinium. Let me summarize my presentation. I think it is important to achieve both carbon neutrality and ensuring of long-term energy security that is not affected by overseas conditions. Nuclear technology has already provided more than 30% of Japan's electricity. In that sense, I think that the nuclear technology is a competitive and realistic option. Next-generation reactors are also effective for multi-purpose use as well. As I mentioned, it can support renewable energy sufficiently and can contribute to carbon neutrality of industrial and transportation sectors. On the other hand, as long as the use of nuclear power is promoted, it is essential to achieve plutonium management and reduce the volume and toxicity of radioactive waste. In that sense, I think there is no meaning in using nuclear power if we cannot commercialize a fast reactor cycle. As for HCGR, I think we can contribute to hydrogen production by utilizing our technology related to 950 degrees Celsius operating temperature. As for fast reactor, Russia and China have reached the level of commercialization already. We in Japan have reached demonstration level through Monju. This is a national strength, and Japan-France cooperation and our cooperation with TerraPower have been attracting international attention. It is necessary to promote it by leveraging the international cooperation. As for actinium, which is attracting worldwide attention for cancer treatment, we must contribute to enhancement of national welfare through its mass production. Through steady technological development, JAEA will contribute to the realization of decarbonized society, including hydrogen and heat utilization, stable and inexpensive energy supply on a 1,000-year basis, and improvement of national welfare. That is all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, we would like to take your questions for the report that has been presented. We would like to take as many questions as possible in the limited time available, so we will take one question from each participant. It is appreciated if you could mention your name and your organization as well. Those of you who are viewing this event online are asked to send in your question to an email address for questions, which we have notified to you beforehand. Now, let us take questions from the floor. Please raise your hand. Thank you. Gentleman in front, sitting in the left. Hello, my name is Shimomura and I belong to Nuclear Material Control Center. Just like Dr. Yamaguchi's talk, it was quite interesting to hear your presentation about initiatives on next-generation nuclear reactors and associated challenges. I would like to know your opinion about international cooperation and human resource development, which I used to be involved in the past in an international organization. JAEA has been working on a variety of projects with the OECD. Human resource development and foundational research facility are quite important. Though recently, Halden reactor in Norway were closed, and it is becoming challenging to conduct joint programs. I was wondering whether there are any plans to propose high-temperature gas-cooled reactor and JOYO to international researches to be used for human resource development and basic researches. Thank you very much for your question. We consider the human resource development to be highly critical. As everyone knows, under the current situation surrounding nuclear power, not many capable students choose to proceed to the nuclear field, and that makes it challenging to secure human resources. On the other hand, maintaining of technology is, of course, important for us. We have to create opportunities that enable us to do so. As for the opportunities, we do have many R&D activities taking place, and as you noted, we also conduct human resources development through international cooperations. Within our organization, we do have a human resource development plan along with career path. For example, For people in charge of experiment and operation of JOYO, a variety of drills and daily on-the-job training are provided for those in the field of research and development. Even though we have not been able to conduct a large-scale experiment, we try to set up an opportunity for experiments and have opportunities for senior staff to transfer technologies. We are introducing such initiatives aggressively to maintain the technologies. On the other hand, when it is difficult to provide man-to-man guidance, we would utilize tools such as Arcadia, which I've touched upon, to transfer technologies and to have people learn as part of human resource development, DX. In other words, utilization of these tools, I think, can be one way of human resource development. One more thing which I personally believe is critical is connection with universities. By conducting joint research with research universities in both Japan and overseas, we can engage in friendly competition and will contribute to human resource development. It's not that there is only one way. There are a variety of channels available, and our policy is to utilize them fully. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you. Gentleman sitting in the back, please wait for a moment. We will bring over a microphone. My name is Mitsui, just an ordinary citizen. I really wanted to ask you whether uranium can be used effectively with HTTR in fast reactor. Though, since I was told I can only give one question, let me ask you about accident. I suppose HTTR is graphite reactor, and I heard that the ignition temperature of graphite is around 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. According to your presentation, temperature will get close to 950 degrees. But my biggest concern is that if air leaks somewhere and oxygen comes in, fire similar to Chernobyl may happen. Monju had sodium leak, but why is it that you can say that fast reactor is going to be fine? I would like to know about investigation of cause, prevention of reoccurrence, and challenges to be tackled. I cannot feel safe without knowing about them. Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Generally speaking, high-temperature gas-cooled reactor can go at around 500 degrees Celsius when it contacts air, but by enhancing its quality, it can go way higher than that. We are actually doing experiments and confirm that it does not ignite even if it makes contact with air, so the quality is secured. But we cannot just pour water when an accident occurs. As for cooling, as I've mentioned, because the volume of high-temperature gas-cooled reactor is huge, heat generation density is extremely lower than that of light water reactor. Its heat generation density is less than 1/10 of that of light water reactor, so heating takes place slowly and release of heat takes place slowly. So in the reality, even if we start from 100%, it can be expected that the temperature will not go up and will stabilize. We confirmed that it did not go up by 30%. As for fast reactor, sodium leakage is an accident that must be considered as part of designing, and we will design in a way that it will be fine even if it leaks. In case of Monju, sodium leakage did happen, but that effect did not propagate outside. In a way, we can say that it went just the way it was designed. Though the real problem was not the accident itself, but a video of fire being hidden. Because of that, the accident became an incident. We have been heavily criticized for that. We are responding to sodium leakage with our design. First, as you said, it burns when it makes contact with air, though when it drops, it's different from fire extinguishing, but it is designed so that it would drop on the floor on its own. Additionally, leakage can be detected. On the other hand, in case of light water reactor, 100 and dozens of atmospheric pressures is applied. When water leaks, it will come out all at once. It would be heated without water, though in case of sodium, as I've mentioned, there is almost no pressure. Therefore, even if there is a hole, leakage will not come out. all at once. It will stay inside, and reactor core will not be revealed suddenly. On the other hand, gradual leakage is observable, so we just have to detect and stop it. Once you stop it, the sodium will not leak anymore, and our current design enables leaked sodium to be maintained there. Sodium will react with water. For example, we exchange heat with steam generator or somewhere else. If pipe breaks, it will react with water and generates hydrogen. Monju already has facility to let go of hydrogen. Therefore, escaping of hydrogen is already embedded in the designing. That is already part of innovative reactor, and we have already started thinking about ways to not conduct direct heat exchange. For example, one way to conduct thermal storage is to send heat to thermal storage tank and to use that heat to generate instead of generating heat directly to eliminate contact with water based on such lessons learned through Monju. And by building on the safety concept that Monju has, we came to believe that innovative reactor is sufficiently safe. Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? Please raise your hand. Let me now pick up a question that we've received from an online audience. Why is it that high-temperature gas-cooled reactor can stop automatically without insertion of control rod when power supply or coolant are lost? Well, it is very difficult to explain. It's a matter of nuclear reaction, or should I call it reactor physics. There is something called Doppler effect, where nuclear reaction slows down when the temperature goes up. Such inherent safety is there even if you do not apply a brake or insert control rods. When temperature goes up, due to reactor physics, nuclear reaction will start to slow down, and we can sustain stability by using this characteristic. Due to time constraints, it is difficult to explain, but if you want, I can respond offline. Thank you. Are there anyone else on the floor with questions? If so, please raise your hand. If not, let me pick up another question from an online participant. Am I not right to say that reprocessing of fuel for a high-temperature gas-cooled reactor is not possible? I suppose that costly reprocessing makes fuel price expensive, which eventually would compromise competitiveness. Thank you for the question. We are currently studying ways for reprocessing right now, though I think it is possible to conduct reprocessing by removing coating of Jintan Brent mint-like fuel, which I have referred to in my presentation. So by removing the coating or by considering ways to process fishing products included in the coating, I think it will be possible to physically reprocess. On the other hand, as you pointed out, we are still studying economical efficiency and we still have not been able to specifically identify the cost. I think that will be revealed with future studying that will take place. The point is that it is not impossible. Physically, it is possible. Thank you for your question. Unfortunately, due to our schedule, we need to finish the Q&A session. If you have any other questions, please contact an email addressed for questions that we've notified beforehand. Deadline for submission is on Thursday, November 24th at 10 o'clock. We will respond to your questions on the JAEA website. Now, to close today's program, I would like to ask Yasuhiro Itakura, Executive Vice President of JAEA, to give a closing remark and summary. My name is Itakura. I am Executive Vice President of the JAEA. Thank you very much for being with us until the end, despite your busy schedule. According to Secretariat, today we have 154 guests here, with more than 1,000 people participating online. At GX Implementation Conference in August of this year, Prime Minister Kishida mentioned that studying of next-generation innovative reactor will be conducted accordingly. The innovative reactor has been attracting an attention of the society, and the JAEA has been approached and interviewed by a variety of media, including newspapers and televisions. Coverage of our HTTR in ORI site was done as well. So we decided to pick up development of innovative reactor, which is attracting social interest, as the theme of this year's annual symposium of the JAEA's activities. Today, in her video letter, Dr. Catherine Hoff from the Department of Energy explained to us about the U.S. utilizing a variety of budgetary and tax measures to promote nuclear power and innovative reactor in the United States. She also introduced to us the current status of U.S.-Japan cooperation, including cooperation on innovative reactors. Dr. Yamaguchi touched upon history and background of Japanese energy policy and nuclear power policy, along with role of innovative reactor and technologies. Subsequently, Executive Director Oshima of the JAEA has touched upon R&D initiatives in regards to innovative reactor at the JAEA. At the JAEA, we have been working on development of innovative reactors such as fast reactor and high-temperature gas-cooled reactor for almost half a century. As indicated by Dr. Yamaguchi today, while bearing in mind that it is the one that is most adaptable to change that survives, we look forward to continuously uniting all the knowledges and forces available in the JAEA to realize its commercialization. As for innovative reactors, we are exhibiting posters and other things on achievements made by the JAEA's research and development inside a separate conference room. Additionally, at the hall in the back side of this venue, we had specialty goods of local community where we are situated, who has been supporting our research. If you did not have a chance to see them, the information will be available on our website. So, please have a look. On our website, we have a survey available in regard to today's symposium. It is appreciated if you could give us your candid opinion on today's event. Now, we would like to close the symposium. Thank you very much for participating and watching JAEA's annual symposium. We kindly ask you for your continued support and guidance. Thank you. We would like to end the 17th annual symposium of the JAEA's activities.